to hopefully a less interrupty version of Making an Impact. I'm your host, as always, Chad Bordo, and joining me is the squanchy one, Zachary Tyler Pew Duncan. Zach, how are you?
What does squanchy mean?
Did you never see Rick and Morty?
I've seen some Rick and Morty, not a whole lot.
There's like this heroin cat who looks like he's just covered in male fluids, if you will. And he's always drinking. And he instead of like, you know how like Pokemon just say their name or something like that? He's called Squanch, but he's always just like, Rick and the Squatch, Squat's a Squatch. And he just sort of says it, and it's all the big dumb, but you know what? What are you gonna do? I know how to type. I know the name of our channel. Nope, that's not it. I don't know the name of our channel, apparently. Wrestling Underground. There it is. We're good. Zach, are you still there?
I'm still here. I'm just letting you do your rambles.
My Rimbly rambles. Zach has an impeccable memory, I found out tonight.
Only for certain things.
Only for things that matter. Like your anniversary day, your social security number, and that day we came up with our dumb little bits.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. So we're here to talk about the Impact-orama, the Impact-arousal, the Impact of happen. But before we get started, this episode's brought to you by Bublaze. I don't know why I like these terrible tasting pops that don't have any sugar or flavor, but I do.
Michael Bublaze?
Michael Bublaze. Get a can of Bublaze today. Have you seen these bubbly things yet?
I've seen commercials for them.
They are sparkling waters. My father thinks they taste like Alka-Seltzer. They don't have any like there's obviously a lot of seltzer in them. You know that's how you make sparkling water. So the seltzer is very overpowering at first, but then there is a taste that kind of lingers. I call it the phantom taste because it's gone. You've swallowed the liquid, but you can taste it. It's a phantom taste. I really think they missed their calling on that. You should call it Phantom Tastes. Although, then you couldn't have Michael Bublé doing all those great bubbly commercials. I'm just saying.
That's true.
You take the good, you take the bad, and then you got bubblies. Because it's mostly just bad. I've had just about every flavor I can get my hands on. The lemon ones are pretty good. The grape ones are solid. The limes are, if I remember correctly, right down my alley. The passion fruit, gross. Not undrinkable, but like... Ugh. I don't know if passion fruit is bad in general. I feel like it would be. I don't know.
It could be. I've never had it myself.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. So let's talk about the passion fruit of Impact Wrestling, Madman Fulton. Was that mean? I feel like that was a little mean.
I guess it depends on how you're taking it. I mean, obviously, since we just said that passion fruit tastes like shit,
right?
It might be mean,
right? Like we all knew what I was going for. Oh well. I really don't care if he's offended.
No, nor should you.
I really don't. So Fulton lost to Rhino. I really do think that people like Fulton and Jessica Havoc are just there because of who they're friends with, or in Havoc's case, dating. I don't see much value in them, especially when you have Fulton and Havoc lose all the goddamn time.
Right.
Like, Havoc's lost to every top contender or champion or heel or whoever in Impact. I think she has, like, one victory over Kiera Hogan. And, like, a bunch of squashes over, like, you know, Alexia Nicole and other roustabouts from the indies.
Right.
So, I'm not really sure what's going on with the Havoc and the Fulton, but Rhino gets the big win, and I'm all right with that because I love me some Rhino. Gore, gore, gore. really doesn't have the same impact when you say all that fast. But hey, here we are.
Gore.
Gore. Hey, this is the United States in 2020, pre, post, and during coronavirus. We're making up the rules as we fucking go along, man. It was good of us to do this show via remote locations.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we haven't done that before.
First time.
I'm not able to touch Zachary in the face and give him the Civid or Kevid or Ivid or whatever the fuck it's called. COVID? It's COVID-19. Who comes up with the names? Like, honestly, like, why is it COVID? Why is it 19? Like, why can't...
What were COVID 1 through 18?
Right? Where was Bovid or Aovid? What about Coviz? Is Covic next? Like, I don't know. I don't know how y'all name your fucking viruses. I know how you name rhinos, though. If it looks like a rhino, go, that's a rhino. Boom! Named. Sometimes I just say dumb shit to make Zach laugh.
Yeah, and it typically works.
It does. It really does. I'm playing to an audience of one, and I've never thought otherwise. Like, I could find out later on down the road that the reason why we've never been at 1 million viewers per episode is because everyone has a different sensibility than Zach, and they just find me boring. You know what? I don't care, because if I can make Zach laugh, I know I'm doing a good job. Playing to that audience of one, baby. So,
there you go.
Speaking of audience of one, Rhino was getting the shit kicked out of him by OVE. They're like, hey, you like these boots? What boots? These boots. And then they started kicking him in the face. And then one of them goes, D's nuts. And then Jake told Dave that wasn't funny. And Dave's like, I'm all right. But while Rhino was getting, the ever-loving stuffing knocked into him, because that's what you do with stuffing, you stick it in. And you fist it. As Rhino was getting fisted. I apologize. Only a little.
You should.
Only a little. As Rhino was getting pummeled, out comes Sabu at 53 years old and drives Fulton's head into a steel chair with a DDT.
Yeah, it's Sabu.
It's Super Genie. Because we were missing them. Now, to be fair, and this is important to note, to be fair, Sabu should be on that TNA show. So yeah. I 100% I'm fine with it. Especially if he's coming into wrestle in some type of TNA versus Impact match. That would be pretty cool. Hopefully he's not sticking around long term, because I feel like if you're going to use Sabu, you should use him for specific matches. Although I would be totally down for like an ECW OVE barbed wire massacre match.
Mm-hmm.
Just
That'd
saying,
be something.
Right? I'd be for that. We then get a highlight video. Chris Bay is showing up next week. I don't know how I feel about the name Chris Bay. I like Bay. It's unique enough. It stands out. What about like Zonkalitis Bay? Right?
Oh, that's a name.
Zonkalitis Bay. Excrucivius Cavister Bay. It's actually just like an X, an ampersand, and like a dollar sign.
And every week he comes out, it's pronounced differently.
Yes. It's McTook. This is Dr. McTook. That poor woman had to deal with Sean's stupidity. Goddamn. Gabby Lauren's backstage, and she's like, "What's up, Tessa?" That's about it. This was not one of their finer shows, in my opinion.
No, I would have to agree. Not a whole lot of greatness going on in this show.
The Sabu surprise so far was cool. Rhino getting the win is always great. Chris Bay, I think, has a load of potential, but I do
Mhm.
think he needs. Jokes aside, I do think he needs a different name. I feel like wrestling has gone way too common with their names recently.
Yeah.
Like, I remember back in the day, you had Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go off the top with the elbow drop. Oh, yeah. Then you had, Hulk Hogan. What you going to do, brother? You had Ric Flair. You had Roddy Piper. Of course, you still had your Mick Foleys and your Dwayne Johnsons, but, can't win them all. Too bad they never got better names. Yeah.
Right?
But, you had Cactus
So,
Jack.
Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack has a solid name.
That's a great name. Terry Funk.
So
Oh, that's so good. Chris
good. So,
Bay. Hearing all the common first names that I just went through, Chris Bay's not the worst.
it's not.
No. Because the Bay is very pronounced. It's very singular. It's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dean Malenko. That's not Sigla Bay. That's Dirt Malenko.
How is he always getting confused for sequel?
I don't know. They went to a family reunion, and his brother, I think his brother's name is Boris. He's like, Dean, is that you? And Cyclopatron goes, no, it's me. Boris is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then Dean's behind him. He's like, oh, no, it's Cyclopay. Oh, Cyclopay, what are you doing? God damn it, Boris, I'm Dean. to paraphrase, or to clarify, I don't know if his brother's name is actually Boris. I think his father's name is Boris. I forget what Dean's brother's name is. It may have been something like super lame like Chris. I don't know. Jolt Malenko. Jolt Bay. There it is. Boom. Jolt. I'll come up with some good fucking names.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did I lose you again? How is the
No,
connection?
I'm still here. The connection seems like it's fine. At least, of course, I couldn't tell it on my end last time anyway.
God damn it, Zach.
So I just found out, and because I don't give a shit about Fast and Furious, that John Cena's in the new one.
Yeah, and he's the Rock's. He's not the Rock. He's Vin Diesel's brother.
Yeah,
I can't make this shit up.
I mean, I just saw it, and my first thought was, okay, so Vin Diesel doesn't get along with The Rock, so we go to John Cena. Makes perfect sense.
I mean, if you're gonna look for a off-brand version of The Rock, not much better you can do there.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what they did.
So did you know Dean Malenko is Jewish?
I did not.
You learn something new every day. Where the fuck is his brother? Joe! God damn it. I knew it. I knew it was a dumb name. Just a dumb, generic, dumb name. Goddamn. Joe Malenko.
Generic dumb name.
Dumb, generic, dumb name. Speaking of dumb, generic, dumb names, what's up, Tessa? No, I'm kidding. Sincerely, though, I feel like the Tessa era isn't exactly Landon, if you will.
Yeah. Well, here's my thoughts, and I'm not gonna just completely throw the whole idea under. I feel like part of the issue is part of the thing that kind of elevated her a little bit was her feud with Sami Callihan. That was a huge rivalry that took like up the entire year last year. And Tessa wins the championship, and Sami goes on hiatus or whatever. So then she goes to Mexico, and she does stuff with Ace Austin, and that's Ace Austin is just being Ace Austin, which is fantastic. He's a great heel. And now she's involved with the winner of the Eddie and Michael Elgin match. I'm not spoiling it yet. We're gonna get to that. But if I feel like had the feud kept going with Callahan, it might have her title reign might have gone off on a better foot.
That's a valid point. And usually when I say that, I'm lying to make you feel good. That's a genuinely good point, though. She went from having this really great feud with Sammy that lasted 8 months, give or take. I think it started in April of last year because it really ramped up at Slammiversary. She goes from having that to having this great, I won't say great, but this very involved long story where she's trying to get that win back and trying to get back at Sammy. And then her first feud out of it, you know, because that was, what, in January? Her first feud out of that win was Ace Austin.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Zach's fucking up again, folks. I'm sorry. You know, what are you going to do? So for me, I think, and I've been very vocal about, I'm not a big fan of the intergender stuff. And I never will be, at least not that I can foresee happening anytime soon. But I think for me, I think you would have had a better opportunity trying to get Tessa over after the win if you went straight into that feud with Taya. She's a very competent worker with a great personality, and she can either get you on her side or get you against herself. But I feel like with Ace Austin, he's still a pop, man. I think Ace Austin's like 23. And he's still trying to figure out who he is and what he's going to do in the grander scheme of wrestling. And I feel like putting him in such a monumental feud, well, I shouldn't say monumental, but putting him in a feud. Well, what are you doing there, Snozzles?
The dog was barking at something.
You have a dog?
Yes.
Is his name Copernicus?
No.
Then you failed.
Yeah, I didn't name the dog.
Well, I know
the dog was around before I was around.
Well, that's what I keep saying to you about me, but you keep saying, yeah, but she's my fiance.
Wow.
So my point that I was making before you rudely interrupted me. Yes. Is the dog all right, by the way? Is Copernicus okay?
Yes, he's fine. There was a slight altercation with other dog. So, but we're good.
You have another dog? Is his name Einstein? Copernicus and Einstein?
It was someone else's dog.
Oh. Then it must have been that awful, snooty little bitch dog that's always causing problems. Snoopy. Yeah, I see you on top of your fucking doghouse, lying there like a person. I know you're not a dog. I don't know what you are, Snoopy. But I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out, Snoops. So, my point was, I think had they gone straight into the Taya Tessa feud, instead of doing that lap around with Ace Austin, I feel like Tessa's feud or title reign would have gotten off on a better foot out the gate, so to speak.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I don't know. The Ace Austin stuff was fine, but it wasn't a strong enough thing to go into right off of the bat.
I concur.
Do you concur, Doctor?
Why not just concur? Kid's got a fucking bicycle arm through his chest. Why didn't you? The child's gonna need surgery to have the appendage removed from his chestal area. Mm-hmm. Do you concur? All right. So Eddie and Elgin are facing in the finals of the best of 5. There's no way this could end badly, right?
No. How could it possibly?
Right. Security has surrounded the Impact Wrestling production truck because of the ICU interruptions and hacker. I bet you it's not Sami Callihan because that's his gimmick from NXT.
I also just love the idea of here we're gonna put security guys outside the truck to stop the hacker.
Well, it can't be worse.
I mean, I understand what you're going for, but I didn't really suspect the hacker was getting into this truck in the first place. He's not physically.
Well, I'll say this. It's no more stupid than letting a recently fired John Cena sit front row.
We're going back to 2010? Wherever the hell the Nexus was doing things?
Yeah.
I mean, that was fucking stupid. That was so fucking dumb. Let the man be off TV for like at least 3 months.
Could you imagine if he didn't return until Royal Rumble and like, all right, we're gonna go off on a little tangent. So like, have Wade Barrett versus 2010 CM Punk.
Right.
Final 2 or 3 guys. Whoever you want to Edge. Who was the main? It was Edge and Del Rio and Miz versus Cena. Oh, God damn it.
Yeah. Not great.
No.
Not great.
No, there's a reason why 2011 was so goddamn terrible.
Such an awful WrestleMania.
So since I have complete unilateral booking here, I'm gonna book CM Punk against Miz because reasons.
Obs.
So Barrett and CM Punk are fighting for that WrestleMania spot, and as soon as Barrett has Cena lined up, Punk lined up, Cena would emerge from the crowd and FU Barrett over the top rope and then leave, and then CM Punk would be like, "All right, I'll take the win." And then you set up Wade Barrett, John Cena at the WrestleMania, no holds barred, anything goes, 3 times blood match.
So, have to bleed 3 separate times.
So you want to hear? All right. So I mentioned this last night on the Wrestling Underground podcast with Marcus.
Yeah.
Another podcast brought to you by RealNerdCorp.com. I tell you what. So Stu Sachs, I think it's Stu Sachs, publisher for PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He's leaving, stepping down, retiring. And we kind of talked a little bit about, I've been buying that magazine for 21 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've always been impressed with magazines and wrestling is just the way they cover it and the pictures. And I'm a very big fan of the aesthetic of magazines in general, but I love the photography in these. But my first inkling with regular magazine subscriptions for wrestling was the WCW magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was the Sting cover. It was the May 1999 issue of WCW the magazine. Was it the last? Was it the last or the first? I think it was, or maybe it was the second. It was one of the newer versions of the magazine layout, which they would adopt for the last portion of the 90s, the late 90s. And the cover story was about Sting, and they had all these great photos of it. But because they were late, and because the pay-per-views were set up late, usually the magazine would have pay-per-view recaps once a month. The magazine would come out once every month, and in that issue would be a pay-per-view recap for the corresponding pay-per-view in which it was closest to when it was published. So, the May issue came out in March, so you would get the February, right? But for some reason, this one was a little bit later, so they had both the February and March pay-per-view recaps in it. Super Bowl was at the front, Uncensored was at the back. And the shit this magazine threw at the Super Bowl main event is fucking hilarious to this day. I don't remember the exact verbiage that they used, but they essentially said, because the main event of Super Bowl was supposed to be a first blood cage match. It was actually supposed to be a cage match, but then it was made to first blood or something like that. And the magazine's like, apparently in this cage match, it's not first blood or second blood or even third blood, but fourth blood. And I'm like, at the time I'm reading this as a kid, I'm like, all right. As an adult, I just realized so much shade, as the kids say, was thrown on the matchmaking for that event from the magazine itself.
So much shade.
Oh my god! They gave 0 fuckaroonies. Oh, I love it. By the by, I just saw something. I Googled it, the ICU. Rumor has it, according to 411 Mania, it's going to resolve itself next week.
Yes.
Yes. I see you. Do you see me?
We also discovered that last week when we deciphered the binary code.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I knew that. I completely fucking forgot. You know what? We need to do more binary code cracking.
Code cracking?
Yes.
Like I'm on board.
So let's update a little bit on some of these tweets here. Last week, or I'm sorry, yesterday. Let's go through some of these right here. Apparently, Simon Miller was hacked on what culture?
Yeah.
I fucking hate that, Chotch. Can we not involve him in this, please? I don't want Simon Miller in my wrestling. I unsubscribed from their fucking YouTube channel because I fucking can't stand that dingus. He's so overly positive, and it's so fake. The WWE is not good, Simon. Stop lying to your audience.
Well, I feel like first he'd have to stop lying to himself.
I don't think he ever could. So some of these tweets from the ICU at Reality is Lost. First one goes, tonight is a huge night. Tonight I'm going to hack my biggest account to date. Tonight I show my true power. Tonight I disrupt the status quo. I believe the Impact Wrestling Twitter account was the one that was hacked, by the way. The account I'm hacking tonight is a little harder to crack. Don't worry. I haven't slept in days working on this. It will happen in the next hour. This might be relevant. Their system will be broken. And believe me, the word broken is in fact capitalized. Like across the board, it's in all caps.
It still might not be Matt Hardy.
I know. It could easily be a ploy of sorts.
Or it could just be, someone trying to have emphasis on a word that happens to be associated with somebody else.
Do you have anyone in mind?
I mean, you mean other than Sami Callihan?
I don't know if the word broken has ever been used to describe Sami
Oh,
Callihan.
no. I mean, I'm just...
Balding.
The word is associated with Matt Hardy, but someone else can still use the damn word with emphasis.
True. But I feel like in today's wrestling climate that it's a little harder to... Well, not harder, but it's a little bit more on the nose thing to do, to either use it to emphasize it someone or to use it to provide subterfuge to who it really is.
True. That is fair.
Like either way, this was a hint to Matt Hardy or a misdirect to Matt Hardy. I feel like that's what they're doing here. One of the two. Matt Hardy already showed up on Being the Elite's little YouTube channel, so it may be that he's going to AEW, though nothing's been confirmed. So we will have to see what happens next week. Reality is Lost. The one thing I like about Impact is you don't hear a lot of spoilers outside of match results anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
They've really shored up how they handle their storytelling. Unlike WWE, where I know that Undertaker's going to be having a mistress and false child angle for summer 2024 already because, booking. You can't spell it without spoilers and leaks. Although, let me throw this one at you. So Undertaker showed up as Aleister Black was getting beat the shit on by AJ Styles in the club.
Okay.
Would you rather Aleister Black versus, not Aleister Black, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Or Aleister Black, Undertaker, and Kane versus AJ Styles in the club at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't mind that.
Right?
Particularly because then it saves Undertaker from having to wrestle a full match with no reprieve. He just needs to stop. I like the idea of the Brothers of Destruction and Aleister Black as a team. There's some solid stuff going on there.
So my theory, or at least my booking for this, I would do the 6-man. And I would give it some significant time.
Right.
I would have The Undertaker and Kane both hit like tombstones and choke slams on AJ Styles. Like do a double choke slam, and then like as Undertaker goes to kneel to pin him, have Undertaker motion to Kane, and the two of them bail out of the ring and take on Doc and Carl Anderson. And then Undertaker just points to the body to Black, and Black hits him with whatever his finisher is. Because I haven't watched the product in a long. I don't remember what the fuck Aleister Black's finisher is. But have Black
Mass or some shit,
something like that. Have Aleister Black hit that finish on Styles for the added emphasis, and then have Black get the win, and then have Undertaker and Kane re-enter the ring in the post match. And in my mind, I'm doing this because I don't want two fat old dudes on my ring anymore. Like y'all 185 combined, you're done. Granted, if I'm booking a promotion at Sting at 74 goes, I want to win the world title, I'm making that shit happen. So like, I'm not exactly completely, able to be biased or unbiased in all my instances. But I would have Taker and Kane kind of do that. Taker does the bow. I would have him do that bow to Aleister Black to signify that Black's the heir apparent. Because as much as Aleister Black has eaten shit in the last 3 years since he joined that company, he's got a good look, a good style, and he comes across as very, what's the word I'm looking for? Credible. Because I think he used to be a kickboxer in the Netherlands. So he's got a lot of credibility in those legs. So I feel like he could easily take that rub and ascend. Because he's got that look, the vibe, the style. He doesn't need to be a big promo guy. In fact, I would never have Aleister Black talk, ever. I wouldn't have him do interviews. If he wins the world title and shows up on Good Morning America, I would be like, Aleister, just stare at them for 20 minutes.
Perfect.
Right? Talk about building an ambiance. Because here's the thing. Dave Meltzer always points this out, and I don't know. I wasn't alive in 1935. But Meltzer always points out that kayfabe's been dead for quite a long time, going back to the 40s and 50s. I don't know. I wasn't alive. But my whole thought on kayfabe is it's not the veil of reality that you're watching. It's the veil of uncertainty. As a kid, I believed it was real because I was 12 and girls had cooties. Like, my brain wasn't fully functional, obviously. But I think for a lot of fans, it's never been about real or fake. It's been about what is real.
Right.
And I wish the WWE and other wrestling outlets would embrace the idea of using the media against itself. If you poison the well all the time for wrestling websites, then rumors and speculation on what's going to happen next will all of a sudden no longer have any credibility. And while I am a member of the media, I am also a member of the media that understands that sometimes we take stories and tell them that maybe we shouldn't. Not because of a lack of integrity, but do I really need to spoil that Oliver Queen gets stabbed in the gut by, Ra's al Ghul and at season 3 finale? Like, do I need to tell that? No.
That's stabby.
Stabs. Oliver Queen got stabbed. Show limped on. Started to die on season 6 though. So like that's kind of my whole thought process about wrestling websites and wrestling storytelling is really double down on kayfabe. Either get to a point where you're handing out NDAs for stuff, or start fucking killing the pond, so to speak, with a lot of poisonous stories that make the people who tell them look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they no longer trust their sources, then they can no longer ruin the storylines. That's why I appreciate a lot of what Impact is doing, because Impact doesn't do a lot of angles in the ring anymore. They do some.
Right.
But over the last few years, most of the big reveals, most of the big names, they've come in hype packages or backstage promos that they can protect. That's what they should be doing. You know, the biggest reveal of all time in Impact was in 2006 at the end of a pay-per-view that it was a fucking video package. And the audience was so loud, the mics couldn't help but pick up the audience as Kurt Angle was revealed to be coming to TNA. That's cool shit, man. Speaking of cool shit, Desi Hit Squad versus Rohit Raju. Nope, that's Desi Hit Squad.
That's not accurate.
No, that's not accurate. Rohit Raju and Shira versus the Rascalz, the Rickety Rascalz, Dez and Wentz. Now it says here, Rascalz shock Desi Hit Squad. But do they?
Do they though?
That's kind of
the Rascalz are a good team.
That's kind of like saying the Dallas Mavericks shocked the Charlotte Hornets. Did they? Did they really? No, they did not. But maybe it's because not Rohit, Cher's involved in this. And maybe potentially that's part of the reason why they said shocked is because Cher is this big force. I don't think he's lost in a singles match since returning. I don't think he's had many singles matches to begin with. So maybe that's the case. This was a solid match. I think Rohit's pretty good. And Cher, I think, is the perfect blend for him. I do wonder what they're going to do with Raj thing, though. But, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the Rascalz, the Rickety Rascalz doing their rickety best? Their biggity best.
I enjoyed it. I am also of the opinion, I always, for the most part, a lot of times when announcers and or I guess in this point ImpactWrestling.com say, oh, that was an upset, or it was an embarrassing loss, or it was a shocking win, or some shit. It's like, is it though? I mean, the Rascalz were that close to being tag team champions, and one could argue they only lost because the Desi Hit Squad interfered last week. So I don't see how this is a shocking victory for them. I mean, I get that you got Shira on your team, and Shira is a force, but Shira is not a tag team wrestler.
No.
The Rascalz are mostly full time. I mean, they all kind of alternate in and out, but the Rascalz tag team all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So in a tag team match, them coming up with a solid win. Now, I feel like it would have been I feel like in an analyst's perspective, it would have been a closer match had it been Rohit and Raj, because they tag teamed together longer. But it's that kind of thing that always kind of bugs me.
You done fucked up their Impact YouTube channel. Yeah. Impact YouTube.
You done fucked up.
Uploader person guy. You done fucked up. So we move on. We get a hype package we have Katie Forbes making the hard decision to toss her old attire in the trash. Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh no. The Deaners let her know that they liked the way she looked, and they guarantee it. Zach, will you like the way you look?
What?
Have you never heard that commercial? You'll like the way you look. I guarantee it. Men's Warehouse.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
I knew I heard it somewhere, but that one's an obscure one.
Not really.
Maybe not obscure, but it's just kind of like, eh.
You're
It's not that notable, I would say.
Speaking of not that notable, Joey Ryan walks up and tells the Deaners that they are objectifying Katie Forbes. And then he challenges them to a match. That's the way to go about it, folks. Tennille Dashwood's returning to Impact. Yay. Then we get Lacey Ryan, sister of Jack Ryan, CIA specialist. So Jordan Grace is doing her thing. It's a Knockouts title match. So can I just point out that I don't know why we're putting Lacey Ryan in a Knockouts title match?
Right? I mean, it bothers me.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Jordan Grace's being like, "Oh, we're doing open challenge," but why? Why though? And I mean, and if you're gonna do open challenges, fine. But why are we debuting someone that we've not seen before in this open challenge?
So Jordan Grace is no fan of ours.
No.
But I am a fan of hers. I say this unironically. For me, I feel like this has nothing to do with Jordan Grace. I have long championed for her to be the Knockouts face for a long time. Putting her with Madison Rayne is the right call because Madison Rayne is a great personality. And she can go just well enough in the ring to make you look good. For me, though, this is about the idea of open challenges in wrestling. And the notion that having a lot of title fights somehow makes the title even more prestigious.
Right.
In fact, the inverse is true. If any Joe Schmo or Johnny Blob can just walk in and get a title shot, then what the fuck's the point? It diminishes the value of the title.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I would love to get rid of the 30-day defense rule, or at least change that from wrestling expectations. Live events. I think that's the way to go because in case there is a title change, you don't want it to happen on a pre-tape, on a taped event, and you don't want it to be so often that a title match doesn't mean anything.
Did something happen to your mic? You sound like you're in a tunnel.
I pulled my cord out just a smidge. Can you hear me now? Okay. Let me make sure the thing is still bouncing. Bounce. Can you get me a little bouncy? Nope. Hang on. Can you check the Twitch stream audio itself? Don't hack, just knock. Who is it? Twitch stream, Twitch. I don't know. We don't want any carolers. The knocking didn't get picked up. Are you getting picked up? Oh, good.